What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the red color, playing as Hades. His name is Domantas. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Zeus. His name is Eric. And look at what we have here, ladies and gentlemen. We do have ourselves Mega Random. I missed this map. I wish that look. Here's what happened. We put Mega Random into the map pool for Champions League, but because the maps are random, competitive Mega Random becomes also a random occurrence. So part of me feels like, in the grand scheme of things, the way that Age of Mythology was intended to be made and played was that you don't know what map you're spawning on. Every map's different. This is the back of the box type thing. Every map's different, and every single game is going to be different. And it was a huge thing for RTS games to take this kind of approach. Like, you had StarCraft, that was every map was linear. You had Age of Empires 2, where there was a slight amount of variation, but in reality, most of the maps were kind of static-esque. Along comes Age of Mythology, and they say every map's different. And it turns out, yeah, every map's different, but only by a little bit. But now comes along competitive Mega Random. And this is exactly what I expect. Is literally, I don't know what map I'm playing on until I scout the map. I don't know how much hunt is here. I don't know what to expect until I scout the map. And I'm very excited. There's going to be more tournaments with competitive Mega Random focus, just because I really, really enjoy it. And we'll see how everything goes here. As the game is starting, we do see yet again another Zeus versus Hades matchup, as Eric's deciding to go back in with his Zeus. He's only managed to find, well, he did play one game off God there with Poseidon, couldn't find the win there, and deciding to try his luck back with Zeus here, as we see what'll happen here in this game. This competitive Mega Random map here looks like it's a little bit dry of food outside the main base, which, in all honesty, probably favors, if I had to guess, the Hades more so than the Zeus, because you can, well, actually, there's more than just this to take into account when you're making these kind of sweeping statements, but with the hunt being in the main base, it means it's much easier to defend raids and things, and you can survive much, much easier. There's also not a whole lot of perdables on this map here for Domantas. But the town centers are quite far away. So Domantas might find himself having a bit of a struggle getting that one up. So I feel like this might be a map here where Eric can go Hermes. He doesn't have to go for the Athena, and it looks like he is. 2 villages on the temple, and it looks like he is going to be going for Hermes here. Eric is one of the better Zeus players at utilizing the Centaur. There's a couple of incredibly strong Centaur users out there in the world of Age of Mythology, from Ulysses to Pegasus Rush. Eric is definitely in that conversation for players who can tango with the best of them with the Centaurs. So it'll be really interesting to see how he's going to be able to make this work against the pain of dealing with a Chiron, as we do see Domantas here. He's got what looks to be only 3 villagers on the wood at the moment, as he's moving his villagers now over onto these palm trees. This is really, really strange to see. He's throwing a granary down on the chicken. He had 2 rhinos here. 2 rhinos effectively means you can get yourself a 4:30 advance time, no problems, and be able to drop yourself an immediate town center, Ajax Chiron out, no problems. But it looks like Domantas is not going to have the resources to do that here, which will give Eric some time to get value out of his Centaur. Now, the big problem here with, say, Zeus versus Hades, as opposed to Zeus versus Poseidon, is that it's imperative for Zeus to get Sylvan Lore for the Centaur upgrade, getting that speed boost to dodge the Chiron arrows. You can't go for double Centaur here straight away, as we see Eric going for double Centaur here straight away. Obviously, I'm wrong, and you can, because you can bolt you can bolt the Chiron. Obviously, that's the plan. But I would assume you would have to get Sylvan Lore straight away here, otherwise life's going to be tough. But did you see the villagers moving up to the top side of the map? I love being wrong. But The villagers moving up to the top side of the map. The Catastrophe getting shacked down. The villagers coming over. We do see the Centaur making their way. And I imagine Eric here will get Sylvan Lore out by the time he gets over here, or at least starting it up very, very shortly. As the relic gets picked up here, Hardest Folly, an extra 2 line of sight for the Scout. Not the most useful of relics, but holding a relic has that hidden bonus. Yeah? This is why we see pro players doing this. A hidden bonus. It makes your opponent want to see what that relic is, because you can't see what it is if it's picked it up, right? So that means they want to pick that one off. So it's a little bit of a taunt. Hidden bonus. As Sylvan Lore is coming in, and you can see the Centaur get pulled back. Chiron going to get bolted immediately here. I would assume. No, he's not going to bolt the Chiron, as the Centaur still running around the map. And this is kind of why I was like, Sylvan Lore probably getting that one first a little bit better, because he would have been able to be in the base harassing, or be over here harassing. Domantas gets the town center up. No problems here at the start of the game as the villager retreats back. No deaths there. No damage. Domantas going to be on the defense here. He's already got the 2 favor to rebuild that Chiron. Having 2 town centers up in a great position here. All he has to do is defend his villagers. As the heroes come back into the main base, he's got the Minotaur over here. And the Centaurs are going to be searching around as best as he possibly can. A great comment here from Chemo in the chat here. You shouldn't defend against Zeus with the Minotaur. Makes a lot of sense here, because where are the heroes? The heroes of the Zeus player, as we do see the raids coming in, sniping one villager nicely already, as the bolt onto the Ajax. A very, very rare bolt onto the Ajax there coming through, as the unit's getting pulled back. Good garrison micro from Domantas as he's pulling back into his main base. The Chiron coming through. Another villager getting harassed, but the Chiron will be pushing those ones back, as we do see the town center coming up. The Minotaur pushing forward now. The reason why the Minotaur can be sent forward is because the heroes are forward. The heroes are forward, which means, well, happy days. As you do see Eric making a good idea here. He's actually going to harass the Chiron, and he can bring the Centaur around to harass these villagers or something else. It looks like that's not exactly what's happening here. As the Centaur comes in, Jason is most likely going to be falling. Ajax should be on the way here. Domantas doesn't have the food just yet, in a bit of a difficult position, as that Minotaur here going to be trying to delay that town center. Personally, I think you should just attack the villagers, but we will see a Centaur coming over, going to cause some problems here. As the Sentinels does come up, for some reason, Domantas holding onto that one for a little bit too long, as we do see that Chiron getting one shot on. So the Centaur there getting a little bit of damage before the Centaur can retreat away. As for every 14 seconds that passes that this Minotaur denies this town center, one, you're denying a whole bunch of resources from Eric, because these villagers are sitting here building, not doing anything. So 5 idle villagers for the amount of time that Minotaur was on the town center. So he's paid for himself in spades. But 2, every 14 seconds that passes that this goes on is an extra villager that Domantas gets. So Domantas at 35 villagers right now. His economy is really, really strong. He's got his farm set up. The Centaur going to come around onto this position. Domantas needs to get over here and defend this one. As the Chiron gets sniped down, Domantas doesn't actually have the wood to reproduce his Chiron just yet. He's trying to get that one up, and I imagine he will start that very, very shortly. And as the Chiron comes out, the Centaur's still searching around, but still a villager lead here for Domantas, so he's going to be more than happy just taking the amount of damage here at this point. As the Centaur coming through, they do manage to snipe. Oh, good micro there from Domantas. This is the hard part about the Centaur. Little bit of garrison micro, and the Centaur do nothing. They can't take out anything. We do see the Chiron's back out. One villager on this position. This farm here is not in a good spot, as the villagers here sniping. Domantas not paying attention here. Doesn't get that garrison micro off, and there he goes, pulling back in. Another villager falling, almost leveling the playing field in terms of villager income, but still no military buildings up here for either player. Eric can start thinking about getting himself the 3rd town center, or the town center here wouldn't go astray, in all honesty, as the Ajax is chasing away the Odysseus here. Walls starting to come up here for Domantas. This is a little bit of a risky play, as the Centaur can start taking those down. As the villager almost makes the tower, but a little bit too slow on the reaction there from Domantas, as the Chiron trying to track these Centaur, and Eric is just having a field day with them. But they still need more value. They still haven't really gotten their value here. And this is kind of the thing to remember when you're playing against Zeus. You can see the score differential. It's fake. 400, 300 score differential here. The advantage is in 100% in the favor of Domantas here. He's got more income. He's got his farm set up. He's in a great position. But the Centaur, they're going to continue getting value here. As a villager here getting picked off, Domantas putting farms onto this position is really hurting himself. Farms on the back here wouldn't go astray. But farms over here, he doesn't have anything there to defend those. Maybe he can drop a tower on there or something, wouldn't go astray. But another villager falling here as the villager differential has equalized. Technically speaking, Domantas would be maybe with all the villager idle time, it would be really, really close. But I feel like Domantas is still, technically speaking, in front in terms of income. And he's going to be attempting to get to that heroic age here as best as he can. As with the towers up, the walls coming up over here. If you can get some walls up on this position as well, that would be the best position to be in. As the Centaur pushing in. One Centaur almost falling here. As the towers can't quite track the Centaur there at all. As now Eric has found himself in an advantageous position here in terms of villager income. But he's got a lot of catching up to do to kind of catch up to the resources which Domantas has. As the Centaur coming back in. Chiron sitting, waiting, watching, keeping an eye on everything on this position. And Eric says, all right, I can't go past there. Maybe I can go anywhere else. As he is managing to control these Centaur really, really nicely. The Ajax over here, not quite in position. Domantas not paying attention. Does lose another villager there. Good snipe. And another villager that seems like falling on this spot over here as well. As the Chiron still not in that spot that they need to be. Well, he needs to be to defend against everything. The walls just aren't up here. As Domantas here, he can't get the gold really. He's starting to make some Hippocon out. As I'm still surprised to see Eric not getting himself that third town center. Because Eric here is deciding 2 town centers is the way to go. Hippocon, Toxodia are out. There is a gold mine on the back here. It's really, really safe and defensible here. As Ajax goes down. And the fact of the matter is, with these units out for Eric, he can actually take some fights here. And cause a lot of problems for Domantas. Because Domantas doesn't have that many units out just yet. And the Centaur here are going to help out even more now that the Chiron and the Ajax can get sniped by human units. But the Centaur coming through. Domantas on this gold mine. He hasn't defended it still. A wall over here would be all he needs. As 3 villagers falling, 4 villagers falling, 5 villagers falling. As the villagers do drop into that town center. And Eric's now keeping an eye on this gold mine. There's a gold mine down the bottom here, which is probably relatively safe as well. I wouldn't mind seeing a wall come over here as well from Domantas. As now the spirited charge is coming through for Eric. Eric is saying, you know, I'm staying in the classical age and I'm putting so much pressure on. We're not taking it slowly in this game as Domantas' army is well and truly outnumbered as Domantas, he just hasn't been able to get himself the gold income to spam units out. But he's got all the food, he's got all the wood. And he does have this gold mine now getting mined out very, very fast. Eric has got his full eyes on this location here. An underworld passage here for Eric coming in around about, maybe I'd say 1 or 2 minutes here, maybe 2 minutes from now, will be absolutely gigantic if he could manage to do that. Because an underworld from here down to the bottom stage, bottom side of the map, gives him full access to a gold starve. It makes life really, really tough for Domantas here. As the army pushing forward and back. One random Toxoid does end up falling. The Centaur are moving forward. Eric not noticing the random villager there just yet, though. As the Chiron going to come back over here. Spotting some villagers here. He can continue to snipe those. Village differential still very, very close to him. It's getting closer and closer to that full population right now. And the question is, can he win this fight here? With Hades, he does have restoration. And I do feel like he should probably take this fight with the restoration here. And give himself a little bit of reprieve to try and set up a defense on this gold mine. As Vault of Erebus also now coming in for Domantas, giving himself just a little bit of a trickle of gold. Villagers now onto this bottom gold mine would love a wall here. That would be absolutely gigantic as the villagers getting pushed off. Another villager falling there. As still, after all the damage is done, it's still equal in terms of income. As the army now pushing forward. Who will win this fight is the big question. As the medium Hippocon are in. Toxoid, no upgrades for Domantas, but he doesn't have any of those Centaur in his army. And the Centaur, there's a lot of population. They don't do a whole lot as we do see that third town center coming up. The armory now coming up, and Eric will be able to go to the next age as the Centaur turn around, getting a little bit of damage here. At every moment that the Centaur here has its special attack, it can get a lot of damage here. I feel like Domantas should be spreading that Chiron in a separate control group. As the Centaur are getting moved around in a control group of Odysseus or medium Toxotes, it's moving at 4 speed. So the Chiron can actually hit the 4 speed Centaur and take those down, as both players clicking up Apollo at exactly the same time. But Eric has a third town center. So advantage Eric at this point, getting himself the copper shields as well, as we do see the Centaur are going to start moving on to this position, and Domantas still hasn't walled this off. We see a villager moving, or a Toxotes there, moving forward as the wall is set up on this position. The gold villagers on this mining camp there, a little bit out of sorts here, as Domantas pulls the villagers early off at the gold. The Centaur coming through, going to get a little bit of damage done. But the Chiron here, going to snipe those low HP Centaur. A little bit of beautiful micro there from Eric, dodging the Chiron there. It's almost better to run the villagers at the Centaur to shank them, to cause a bit of the I've forgotten the word, snare mechanic to start, which allows the Chiron to actually hit those units. As 2 Centaur go down, 3 Centaur go down. Domantas now making a movement over onto this position to get the town center. Both players in the heroic age. But restoration is available for Domantas. If he wants to get this fight, he should be able to win it, even down 15 population with restoration. So I imagine he should be able to get this location. We do see heavy Hypocon coming in, but Crenellations is in as well, as the villagers getting sniped down. We do see the Ajax making its way over onto the Centaur here. Good micro there from Eric. Still no restoration being utilized though. There's the restoration coming through as that Chiron gets pushed back up. The Ajax almost sniping down another Centaur on that position there, as the heavy cavalry just about to come through. We do see a Manticore coming in to help out on this position. Domantas here, 130 population in the bank here, but it does look like the population of Eric has very much dropped. It's a very, very equal fight now moving forward here in this game. The Manticore are going to be trading off, but the Ajax is on the Manticore, allowing Domantas' Manticore to get the most damage done here. I wouldn't mind seeing some Prodromus coming out here for Domantas here because of the heavy Hippocon that are starting to come through for Eric. But after all is said and done, the villagers are taken out and the town center has been denied. But Domantas is now starting to get some of those Hades shades, more Manticore coming in, and that's going to be pushing Eric away as the wall is coming now down for Domantas to keep control of his gold mine over there. Can Domantas push back out through this position and start winning these fights or not? We are seeing some Prodromus mixing in to this army composition of Domantas, which should be enough help for him. But at this point, he has to pull back, as we see an archery range coming up. Lots of villagers on favor here for Domantas. He's wanting to make, he's wanting to make some of those Manticores here as heavy archers, heavy cavalry coming through. And now the Hippocon looking for a raid onto this gold mine. Domantas still not walling this one off sometimes it can be just hard. It can just be hard to do all of the right things. And this is what makes the best players the best players. But it's something that you just have to do in these games is ensure your resources are nice and defended. As the Prodromus coming back in, the Toxotes on the back here, getting caught out. These Prodromus now coming through with heavy upgrades are going to be able to start smoking the Hippocon here. But the Manticore are taken out, and Domantas here is struggling to get himself into a good position here. As, Eric here, fortified town centers. Same too for Domantas getting fortified town centers. A little bit later for Domantas than for Eric here. As the Hippocon moving forward, see the villagers have retreated back, and no gold getting grabbed on that position, as bronze shields also coming through here for Eric to make a complete stoppage of the damage that those Toxotes are going to do to those Hippocon. Basically doing once bronze shields come in, they're probably doing something like 4 damage a second or even less. As the villagers yet again coming onto this town center, as the Hippocon goes straight onto them to take them out. But the Prodromus at this point, they are too strong here. They're going to be taking out all of those Hippocon. And the way to deal with Prodromus, generally speaking, is to start making hoplites or making your own Toxotes. As it looks like Domantas is able to start winning this fight. You can see the population has gone back down to equal. But Eric going to have to retreat back and rethink his army composition here, as we do see the military academies are started up. And that's exactly kind of what he needs to do to deal with this one here at this point. As the town center comes up. To me, though, actually, in all honesty, I take it back. I think that potentially the play here would just be to go into Toxotes. Mass Toxotes at this point. You force out the Prodromus, straight into Mass Toxotes, and rush Mythic Age here. Seems to me to be the smarter point. And you can actually predict that this is going to be happening, and this is what you want to do anyways. As we said, the Prodromus sniping even more Hippocon here. Great play from Domantas here as Eric gets pushed back. Reason I say into Toxotes here is the Prodromus, they've got really low Pierce Armor at 10%. They've got really low HP at 150 HP, 3 population unit, and they've got very low damage at 7.2 damage. But they get a huge bonus against cavalry. So if you just make Toxotes here, it completely puts a stop to the effectiveness of those Prodromus, and you can start making your way into that Toxotes Heliopolis army, which is so incredibly strong. But Hephaestus is clicked up for Eric. He's actually cancelled his production here because he realizes the Prodromus is not going to do all too much. Domantas at this point, irrigation coming through, gold starting to come in for Domantas as well, as the Prodromus get taken out and walls coming up all over the place, or should start coming up all over the place, as this map is a little bit smaller than normal with this competitive mega random variation, which does make it a little bit easier to wall it off and start controlling your corners of the map, as that's what ends up being what is the most important thing to do here. Is the Hippocon still looking for raids here? I guess Eric wants to get rid of those Hippocon a little bit, as we are seeing the fortress coming up. Most important thing when you're heading to the Mythic Age in the Greek mirror is make sure you have your fortresses, because you want to start Heliopolis straight away. Generally speaking, the player who's got more Heliopolis ends up winning the fights. That's generally the way the matchup goes. As you do see a fortress coming up here for Domantas as well, as both players are on the same train of thought here at this point, as the hoplites are coming out. And here's the thing. The problem here for Domantas right now is he needs to stop Prodromus. He needs to get rid of those Prodromus and replace them with Heliopolis. And then he's going to be completely fine here moving forward. But because he's got these Prodromus in his army, there are just a waste of population, and he's not going to be able to replace those with Heliopolis fast enough. As carpenters, quarry, masons coming through, the wall's going to get broken down over here. As Eric's going to start moving in, and Domantas is in position to defend this one somewhat, as basically Domantas has to take a fight he doesn't want to take with those Prodromus now, and Eric is going to be able to find a small advantage. Forge of Olympus coming in for Eric as well. As is he starting upgrades or something on these Colossus? Not just yet, but he's making the Heliopolis. He's got a full army of these hoplites here. He could make a surprise attack over onto this fortified town center if he wants, as there's Zeus hoplites, as the army is out of position. But we are seeing the Hephaestus coming in. And did he delete? No, he didn't delete the Prodromus. I would send these forward and try and break down a wall and just literally just go for a raid or something and just let the Prodromus die. Or even better yet, just delete them, because honestly, at this point, they've done their dash. They've picked off the Hippocon. They've caused a lot of problems. You just want population for Heliopolis here. Same thing here for Eric as well. He's probably got too many hoplites out. No room to build his Heliopolis here. As the units now standing off against each other. More archery ranges coming up, as the hoplites are going to be searching for something to attack. And we did say that this was going to be a possibility here to raid this town center. But there is an underworld passage. And I think an underworld passage for Domantas from this position to this position is going to be a really nice play. I love this building placement from Domantas. Absolutely love this building placement. It completely defends this fortress from any of this kind of hoplite shenanigans here, as we do see one Heliopolis coming out. This isn't going to be a lot of help without the army to boot here. These buildings are going to go down really fast. The Heliopolis is going to go down really fast. We do see some Hephaestus getting built out here as a watchtower coming through. Do we see any upgrades? Architects and fortified town centers are in, so the town center is going to take a very long time to get taken out. 5,040 HP remaining there, as the Colossus gets sniped by the Perseus. Domantas' army trying to take this fight underneath the fortress fire here. As more units coming in, the fortress looks like it will go down, which is a big win here, honestly, for Eric. But he's losing a lot of hoplites to make this happen. As the Toxotes are going to be able to snipe down those Opaspists. The Heliopolis are out. Another fortress coming up. How are the armory upgrades looking for each of these players? Full iron for Eric to not quite fully upgraded Domantas. But Domantas here, he's got time because there's really not a whole lot of units out. Well, I mean, he's got the hoplites, but what really can Domantas attack here? Part of me feels like he needs to attack this position and then underworld onto here and force the fight here because there's not as much buildings over here for Domantas. Domantas with a lot of resources here. Was that a... What was that? An underworld passage coming in here for Domantas. Does he have the upgrades to make this work? I don't think he does. As the underworld coming back for Eric, just retreat. Just say, no worries, game over, I'm retreating for Domantas. Just that's all he needs to do here because he doesn't have fully upgraded units and he doesn't need to take this fight in the slightest. But he's going to be losing. Look at the amount of damage that comes in onto the underworld passage from those burning pitch archers. Underworld passage only has 69% pierce armor, which means that burning pitch Toxotes, if you take a look at what burning pitch does, an extra 600% bonus damage versus buildings means the archers are doing something like 70 damage a second to the underworld passage, which ends up meaning it just dies instantly there to some degree. So Eric deals with that beautifully, but Domantas has been given the amount of time he needs to get his armory upgrades up. He's still missing a little bit here. He's got the resources to throw it up, but he's missing it for the time being. As the unit's pushing through, we do see the hoplites moving forward, Toxotes moving forward, watchtowers coming in. As Domantas is now on the defense. And can Domantas work this one out? He kind of needs to put a fortress back here to be able to pump those Heliopolis out onto the front. Because having to walk from one side of the map over to the other side of the map it's a really long time for those 2.9 speed Heliopolis to travel. Which is like, obviously the weakness of the Heliopolis is movement. As we're starting to see some towers coming down. Eric still hasn't started his trade route. Domantas has started his trade route. So economically speaking, Domantas has the advantage. Militarily speaking, Eric has got the advantage. As also Olympic Paradise is going to come in and help out a considerable amount here. As the other thing here is that both players have got 100 favor, so they can make their Colossus out very, very easily here if they so choose. 6 villages on the favor, though. That's a waste of population there, unfortunately, for Domantas. Is something you have to be fairly well aware about, is that once you have 100 population, or 100 favor, excuse me, you got to take your villages off the temple and put them on something else. It's iron weapons and iron shields now finally coming through for... for Domantas. He just finished those. And now it's an equal position in terms of military. But Eric has got the position on this location. He's got the towers, he's got the guard towers, and he's going to slow push this. The big thing here for Domantas, though, is that he can make gas graffiti and he can make short work of those guard towers from range. It's really, really strong. He doesn't have burning pitch yet, though, so he needs to get that upgrade as well. And at this moment here, it just looks like Domantas, he doesn't quite have the population to fight this, nor does he have the Heliopolis. As he's starting them out on this position, still trying to send them all the way across the map here. And this is what's making things really tough for Domantas here. And Eric at this moment, this is something that I was talking about a little bit. When you're in this position and you've got all the upgrades and you've got all the villages, you don't need food anymore. The only use of food at this point is to build trade caravans. So you could just take all the villages off and leave, say, what would it be? 100 food every 14 seconds. It's probably about 8 villages on food. Just leave 8 villages on farms and put everyone onto wood, everyone onto gold, and that's going to allow you to spam more towers, to spam more fortresses, to build more Toxotes, to build more Heliopolis, to build more Colossus, and not have all of that food just hanging over you in the late game for no real reason. As the fortress coming up here, Toxotes retreating back as well. And Domantas is just about getting to that point where he can start defending this army. The problem here is Domantas has left his Heliopolis away from his Toxotes. The ultimate army composition is Toxote Heliopolis. Why? Because the hoplites die before they even get damage done onto the Heliopolis. The Toxotes just completely melt them. But Domantas here, he can't get the positioning of those Heliopolis here, and he's taking a lot of damage here with those, as Eric's still trying to break through onto this fight here, as he's trying to get around. We do see the Bellerophon coming in. Bellerophon is a huge unit to assist for Eric in the late game here, as the fortress is going to be dropping in. And now we see the Heliopolis positioned nicely over here in front of the Toxotes, and this is where things start looking much, much better for Domantas. He's also putting side builds over here. One Gastrofeeder to break down the wall, break through this position, put buildings down over here. Eric's not got anything over on this position, and he doesn't have any line of sight here. Obviously, the walls are going to give him some sort of a inkling as to what's going on, but just one population, or not one population, 3 population there to break down the wall, and then you're good to go. Also, Gastrofedes here to start taking these towers out would be a very, very big help. You see the Bellerophon coming in. Towers wouldn't go astray here for Domantas as well. For some reason here, Domantas is now starting to build himself his own hoplites, which goes against the kind of late game idea that I was kind of talking about. But maybe he needs 1 or 2 hoplites to snare the Bellerophon to take that one out. Now, at this stage, now hear me out on this one. At this stage, when there's no melee units, you can garrison your Toxotes into the Heliopolis, and you take no damage, and your opponent loses all of his units. This is like the next level of micro in the Greek mirror, but we don't see this happening from these players all too often. It is very difficult to do, but it's a really, really strong tactic. It boosts the damage of the Heliopolis, but more importantly, it keeps your military units from taking any damage and allows your economy to pick up a little bit. As now both players have their draft horses. Looks like just Eric has got draft horses, so 3.48 favor there. But both players got their siege engineers, so they're both doing the same amount of damage to each other. 6 pierce times 3 and 21 crush times 3. So they're going to be able to take each other out very, very fast. As Domantas is slowly but surely getting pushed back. The big problem here, obviously, for Domantas is fighting underneath the tower fire of these guard towers without having anything. And he's also not building Gastrofedes to take those down, which is going to make it very, very tough for him to push through here. As both players struggling to kind of micro their own Toxotes onto enemy Toxotes. And it does look like Domantas, he still hasn't gotten himself the upgrade, Burning Pitch here. Which, while it doesn't help too much with the Toxotes, it does make it very tough to get those Gastrofedes side builds off, which are the main reason why Hades has got, beyond the buildings and everything, but it's the main advantage that Hades has got over Zeus in the late game is those Gastrofedes side raids, side builds and things like that. 1 archery range making Gastrofedes, all the good stuff, as Eric slowly grinding Domantas down here. As Domantas, he does have 2 fortresses out, but not building a Heliopolis over here. Is he still building stuff out? He is still building Heliopolis out of this fortress. He's trying to break through on this position, but it's not going to quite work. It's not really what the Heliopolis are designed for. If you want to go for a side attack, Gastrofedes are the best option, because they're only 3 population. They've got the movement speed advantage, and they if they get countered by 1 unit, which is normally what happens with the Heliopolis, couple of units come up and deal with it, you only lose a little bit of resources. So it's not a huge investment to build those. As now we see the Silver Colossus coming in. That's going to put a big, big stop to the Heliopolis of Domantas. And Domantas here, he's still got a ton of favor. So if he was building out Colossus here, he'd be able to, like Toxote, Colossus, Heliopolis, such a difficult composition to deal with for Zeus, because Zeus doesn't have that Perseus to one-hit the Colossus. You got the Bellerophon, but I mean, once the Bellerophon jumps in onto the Colossus turns around, bashes the Bellerophon, snaring it, and that allows the Toxotes to focus fire it down. So it can be really, really tough for Zeus to make that work. So you should be building Colossus here if you're playing as the Hades player, but Domantas, he's got the favor, but he's not using it. He's got the gold, but he's not using it. He's also got the camel caravan advantage, but he's not using it. As the Heliopolis continuing to push forward, we do see the Perseus is out to attempt to find where the Colossus is. Eric is now bringing this one over to try and take out some houses or something. Walls coming down over on this position. Still no protection over here, and Domantas hasn't put any pressure over there. There's still a gold mine left here for Eric. He's got the 4 gold mine here as well, but still no gold mine for Eric there. As a watchtower now coming up for Domantas on the front, as the Perseus does snipe down the gold Colossus, but the Toxotes, basically half HP, the Perseus there for that gold Colossus, and Colossus costs about half of what a Perseus costs. It's 300 gold? Not half, but basically. As Domantas still struggling to hold on here. The Bellerophon coming back in to help out. But look at how fast it goes down. Imagine imagine this was a Colossus, which is basically that's the damage that would have come onto a Colossus there, basically. And it's already dead. So this is what I'm talking about. Colossus here against Zeus in the late game. I don't know what the Zeus player can really do to stop that composition here. And you also get the ability to push through these towers, but Domantas is just refusing to build them. And same too for Eric, as Eric is now clicked up through to the Secrets of the Titans. Titan Age here against, honestly, I think it's a waste of time, a waste of economy to build a Titan in this matchup. Costs too many resources, but Eric here has got a commanding position, it seems, in terms of economy. He's trading really, really well here. And he's able to get that Titan through, whereas Domantas is simply just not able to make it work just yet. As the Toxotes, for both players, they're not, I mean, I say it, it's really, 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 really hard to play this late game. There's so much micro you need to do with those Toxotes. But the good thing is, you can just shift click. So what you want to do effectively with the Toxotes, grab those, click, shift, 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 and after that's happened, control group those Toxotes as the last action so that you can easily readjust the Toxotes if something goes wrong. Because there is a problem to the shift clicking that happens, is that if you've shift clicked on a unit that is dead, your army will immediately move to that position. So you have to be ready to fix that up after as soon as that kind of problem happens. But it just looks to me like Domantas, for whatever reason, he's got 25 donkey caravans. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to the home town center instead of this town center here, because obviously Domantas doesn't have the thing there. So this is why he doesn't have the population that Eric has, or the economy that Eric has. Eric's only got 9 donkey caravans, but he is getting... Oh, I missed it. He's getting 71 gold to Domantas' 31 gold. And Eric manages to find the win here in this game. I mean, this just comes down to the fact that Domantas refused to build Colossus in this matchup. And the same thing for Eric. Eric also not building Colossus in this matchup. A bit of a surprise. Because Colossus deal with the Heliopolis. They're pretty cheap. And effectively, you don't need to build hoplites. You can see Eric's here with 1,800 food in the bank. Delete those and make yourself 18 donkey caravans, and you have a huge amount of gold income to spam Colossus. Or you put, not even 18, put like, let's say, an extra 10 donkey caravans and put 8 villages more onto favor, spamming Colossus out. Same thing for Domantas here. Spamming out those Colossus, he would find, I think Domantas would have found a way through here if he'd done that. But alas, didn't happen in this game. Eric finds a win here. Not quite in the... I guess this is technically the late game. Finds a win with Zeus in the late game against Domantas. But, I mean, Domantas just did not use the advantages of Hades very well. Gastrophetes not coming out to push through. There was this position that was completely open here to take out this town center. Yes, there is Bellerophon, which can deal with the side builds. But imagine Domantas just sets up here, puts some towers in, and then starts the Gastrophete going after that town center. It could have really, really made life difficult for Eric, but didn't manage to find that advantage. Good win for Eric, though. Up 3-2 in this best of 7, giving himself a match point here in this series. One more win and he will be the Challengers League champion securing a spot actually in Champions League season number 4. The history of this is basically the winner of the Challengers League generally makes the playoffs. That's the history. Mariano was the champion in season number 1, I think, and he's made the playoffs in season number 3. I can't remember who the champion in season number 2 was off the top of my head, unfortunately. But I'll have to look that up and tell you in the next series. So don't miss it. If you guys enjoyed this one, please consider to follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next game.